The new season of Jujutsu Kaisen is finally here, chat. Spread the word. And I'm breaking down every single part of it, from the goated fights to the massive information drops. But I'll make it so digestible that even a Jujutsu Kaisen fan will leave this video feeling like a special grade sorcerer. The season starts off with Itadori constantly washing his hands to remove the blood, but it won't disappear. And this obviously symbolizes the countless number of civilians' deaths that is now on Itadori's hands. After the Shibuya incident, this has got to be a Macbeth reference. And then out of nowhere, the bomb of the year, Yuta Okatsu makes his return to execute Itadori. In all seriousness, I like Yuta, but the slander you guys have cooked on this poor man is so good I could die. You lot will proceed to input the word fact before a sentence and then just whip up the most diabolical words in the English dictionary to drag this man's reputation to the ground. I've seen someone say if you let Yuta fans borrow your phone, they'll send all your money to Israel before you can blink. Itadori's getting chased down by a big hand through this breathtaking scenery. It's been a while since I've seen such amazing animation. I can just tell those Mappa animators haven't slept since 2024. While Itadori's munching on some protein bars, the hand snatches him and then everything goes black and white, and then all of a sudden Yuta's trying to shank bro, and then the screen goes purple. If you don't understand what I just said, then don't worry, neither do I. This part's just a big fever dream. At least the opening is goated as usual, although Chozo bowling out for no reason is pretty trippy as well. That's nothing we're not used to. You've seen pandas doing parkour and other openings. Naoya starts comparing Maki and Mai on the things that matter, like who's got the Tigger biddies, for example, and all that other stuff that's important. But yeah, this guy's like the clavicular of the Zenin clan, and now he's the new head? Why would someone willingly make this guy the head of a clan? He's genuinely worse than Hitler. The other stuff this gnome explained went over my head, but the main thing is that Naoya's gonna head out for a bit to slime out Megumi and Itadori. It goes without saying, but picking on a bum like Megumi means nothing, and going after a depressed Itadori who is suffering from post-Shibuya PTSD further proves how much of a fraud Naoya is. Itadori and big bro Chozo have a conversation down these stairs. He senses that Sukuna is getting stronger and he wants to groom potential man next. I wonder what the stair scene means. They keep repeatedly going down the stairs. If someone knows the answer, then comment, because they clearly weren't doing laps. Itadori and big bro head out to kill more spirits. He's getting chased by more monsters now. I don't understand why these monsters are all obsessed with Itadori at the moment, but we move. Literally, Itadori runs up a highway and drop kicks a monster, but then he gets kidnapped again, but manages to land a galaxy impact on the second monster. Is anyone else wondering why the sky looks like Birmingham from that one time? If Shibuya is this beautiful, just imagine what heaven's gonna look like. Gods are flying everywhere now, whilst Itadori's doing parkour and fighting for his life against Maharaga Jr. He's even got abnormal titans chasing him, so he lures all the spirits into a highway, and then Chozo incinerates everyone with his period blood bending. Itadori then covers Big Bro by destroying Maharaga Jr. once and for all. Chozo starts glazing Itadori's improvement and tries to get him to remember Kenjaku taking over Itadori's mom the same way it happened to him. That Kenjaku demon's gotta chill. He's moving like prime Genghis Khan. Even this Capri-sun wasn't safe from bro's devious antics. Naoya announces to Itadori that he's sentenced to death because his father figure got jumped, but he'll only cut Itadori's legs off, lure in Megumi, and then he starts toying with Itadori. As much as I hate to admit it, this is aura. Naoya wasn't moving like this in the manga, and it gets even worse. Naoya starts slapping up Chozo whilst he fixes up his hair, and moving like he has a Sandavistan implanted into his spine. Luckily, Chozo's dignity is saved because Itadori stops this beating by chucking a rock at Naoya. But it doesn't matter because it's too late. The TikTokers already turned bro into the meme of January 2026. They also released the whole episode of Jujutsu Kaisen on there without any repercussions, which is just insane. But regardless, these variations are diabolical. As Chozo's #1 fan, I cannot allow this slander to slide. Here's proof. I won this Chozo figure in a crane machine in Japan in 2025. This proves I'm an OG. Ignore the Yoshi in the background. With that being said, I'm not stopping this video until this sub-5 womanizer gets his karma. Yuta stops this squabble by terrorizing them with his haki nuts, aura, and then hits a zesty pose to scare everyone even further. All slander aside, the fact that Itadori's first thought when he felt that aura was that it was Gojo is an insane feat, or this might just be more masterclass PR from the author to push his agenda. Remember guys, Ege Akutami is not a reliable source. Chozo will take on Naoya to regain his dignity while Itadori escapes from Yuta. It's really annoying me how Naoya is talking to Yuta like they are bodies. Like bro, you're not getting invited to the cookout. Only somewhat likable sorcerers who waste their gap years warriors in Africa get that type of respect. And this bum really thinks he could slime potential man when we all know that Naoya is getting erased from existence faster than Megumi could utter the words. Is attempting to finish off Itadori mid Naruto run, and for some reason Mahoraga Jr. is getting back up. Itadori starts weaving Yuta's attacks and Yuta starts lying about how he has more cursed energy than Gojo. I know it's a lie because some guy told me it's false, but for real though, Gojo uses his 6 eyes to maximize his energy so he gets more out of his than Yuta does. Itadori's life is low-key flashing before his eyes, so he remembers that the better a sorcerer is, the harder it is to read their attacks. And Yuta's overflowing with cursed energy, so Itadori has no way to counterattack, so he runs to a car instead and finds a knife. Itadori attempts to use it as a cursed weapon on the fly, but then he gets low broed by Yuta, who explains how to do it properly while taking a beating. But Itadori did manage to break Yuta's sword in half, so that's something. Itadori runs at Yuta, but his preschooler girlfriend Rika holds him down, and then Yuta stabs Itadori and says sorry. At least he's polite. Naoya starts hitting more combos on Chozo in the highway, and it gets so overwhelming that the pillar behind him even breaks and the POV keeps bashing. Genuinely, what is this bum's ability? Chozo sends blood flow to his eyes to improve his kinetic vision, but that weirdo Naoya continues to buzz around and smack up Chozo even more. But Chozo is at least adjusting. This doesn't stop him from getting shanked though. Naoya's getting shook up by Chozo, so he asks, who is bro? And Chozo says he is a big brother. It turns out Naoya hates his older brothers because they are incompetent, so they need to be hung. I was following his logic for a bit there, but then he lost me. Naoya, you're gonna have to chill out there, mate. Chozo explains that big bros serve as examples for younger siblings on what path to take. Even if they go down the wrong path, this serves as an example for their younger siblings to avoid. So there's always use. I'm pretty sure this TED talk Chozo just gave Naoya saved his brothers' lives from manslaughter via their little bro. Chozo is strong because he had to forge his own path after many mistakes. And Naoya is weak because he doesn't actually have a curse technique. Everyone just moves slower than him when fighting because they feel bad for him. Bloodbath appears and Naoya runs away from it. Chozo can turn cursed energy into blood, by the way. Imagine if all that blood chasing down Naoya was his own. Bro would be shriveled up as I'm speaking. While Naoya's been running and dodging all these blood spikes, blood seeped into his clothes and hardened to make his legs feel heavy. Naoya's gonna do his thing now. So apparently he tracks things at 24 FPS or something, but it's 2026 now, buddy. People even complain about 60 FPS being too slow. This means nothing to me. A lot of blood drops from the ceiling and explodes. Chozo calls this technique supernova, and there you have it. Checkmate. Chozo put this fraud in his place. Naoya fans, is this your goat? I see straight up guzzling cum. China did him dirty here. Regardless, this could never be my goat, Chozo. Naoya was about to get finished off, but then Yuta walks over dragging Itadori and knocks out Chozo. I told you guys, Yuta didn't like Naoya. Bro's acting so condescending towards him. This hate watch is beautiful. Chozo's cursed spirit blood is poisoning Naoya, so Yuta will heal him if he reports to the top brass that Itadori's dead. Stand proud, Naoya. You're washed. Itadori gets a flashback from when he was a baby, and it turns out Kenjaku is Itadori's mother. That's pretty disgusting, but anyways, wakes up and Yuta is now clear to tell Itadori that he's actually on his side. Let me glaze Yuta for a second. He's come a long way from when he was timid and weak in Jujutsu Kaisen 0. Now he's really just strong and kind of awkward, which I like a lot. So the reason Yuta shanked Itadori is because he needed to make a pact to actually kill Itadori in order to get the executioner job, and he quickly used reverse curse technique to heal Itadori afterwards. As we know, Itadori has been putting all the blame of the Shibuya incident on himself, but Yuta points out Asukuna's his own man, and he's the real one who caused all those mass killings. And I've got to agree, because that just makes sense. Something similar happened to Yuta as well with Rika, but I have short-term memory loss. Anyways, Megumi casually walks into the campfire, and he wants Itadori to come back to Jujutsu High so they can strategize. Itadori's still being hard on himself because he did technically kill Mahito, I guess, but at the end of the day, it's Mahito, so who really cares? We'll skip over this self-loathing conversation. The bottom line is, Megumi needs Itadori's strength because they need to participate in the Culling games because some guy called Noritoshi Kamo started it. In a nutshell, it's basically a battle royale for Jujutsu sorcerers. So let's have a deeper look into all of this. Okay guys, here's the Culling games rules. So I'm gonna need you to lock in like LOPS and that and finish reading these before the timer goes off, because I'm not explaining the rules, because I'm also a Jujutsu Kaisen fan, which means I also don't have any reading comprehension whatsoever. Nice, moving on. Everyone's in on the plan and Yuta agrees to kill Itadori if Sukuna ever takes over his body again. Now they just need to contact this Tengen guy. Well, pretend I remember. Find out how to release Gojo. And so they can understand why this Kamo guy, who I'll also pretend I remember, has started the Culling games. Tengen's in some place that has like 10k doors for some reason, and he's hiding in one of them. So they'll get a move on after Itadori comes to terms with the fact that Nobara died as well. But Chozo interrupts that by appearing out of thin air to talk about the plan. I'm enjoying Megumi looking freaked out. It's nice to see nonchalant characters actually showing a bit of emotion. These guys want to steal something, but before they go do that, they get Maki and the Snow Bunny to tag along. Megumi tries to explain the plan to them, but then Chozo weirds him out even more by grabbing his shoulder and explaining he can find the vault to whatever they are looking for. They get close enough to his brothers because he can sense them through his ability. Everyone got tired of Chozo gaslighting them, so they ask, who is he? And Itadori actually calls him a big brother. Let me just play the clip of this reaction. I can't do it justice. I just like how everyone slowly walks away from him. Now that I think about it, Chozo kind of reminds me of Todo, you know, because of their obsession with Itadori, and they have their own quirks. Todo's schizophrenic and loves women with tig biddies, and Chozo's also mentally ill and really into being a big brother. They also give each other sick fades. One last side note, Todo's gotta be the most unslanderable JJK character. He's simply immune because he's too goated. You can't hate him. Everyone goes into an ice forest and then they take an elevator underground and then they reach a white room. Chozo continues to stay goated by leaving his siblings behind in the garage for now for the greater good and focus on the task at hand. The white room's all empty and stuff because it's rejecting the Snow Bunny, but I wouldn't. So they walk back, but then this guy starts talking. Why did he wait for them to walk away, start talking? What a chud. It turns out this chud is actually Tengen, and he starts boosting everyone's egos by giving them cold nicknames. And then he proceeds to pretend the Snow Bunny doesn't exist. Either way, if you're wondering why Tengen looks like this, it's because he's 500 years old and immortal, but his body still ages. Tengen needs 2 people to stay behind to protect him because Kenjaku wants to force evolution across Japan. I'm not gonna lie, the next couple minutes of this video is gonna be pretty text heavy, but you're gonna have to lock in, guys. Can't complain about all these low drops and rules we're getting, or else the series would be as meaningless as Israel leveling. Kenjaku wants to assimilate mankind with Tengen to force for evolution because his other plans won't work because one would be too inefficient and take too long, and the other requires too much cursed energy. But Kenjaku can use Tengen because he's still evolving and his soul is spread everywhere. Tengen's able to keep everything under control on his end because he's experienced and his curse technique help. But if the average Joe assimilated with him and descended, he most likely couldn't handle it, which would bring about the end of the world. And evil would spread across Japan because of the impurities instantly. So it's important Tengen gets his protection. He's closer to a cursed spirit than a human at the moment, so Kenjaku could have his way with him using cursed manipulation. Honestly, from the sounds of it, this Kenjaku guy is worse than Epstein and P. Diddy put together. Those been terrorizing families for over 1,000 years. If someone in the comments wants to explain what the hell a star plasma vessel is, I would really appreciate that. A star plasma vessel, Kenjaku and Six Eyes are connected by fate, which is why the past 2 times Kenjaku tried assimilation he failed because the Six Eyes always put a stop to everything. After Kenjaku failed the first time, he spawn camped the Six Eyes user, but the third one spawned almost instantly to stop him. So that's why he sealed Gojo this time, because there can only be one Six Eyes user at a time. Koji was able to interfere with fate because he was physically gifted with a heavenly pact and has no cursed energy. So Maki could intervene in theory, but she needs to get way stronger. Kenjaku hijacked Geto's body because of his cursed spirit manipulation abilities, and Kenjaku is using the Culling games as a warm-up before the big assimilation. We're gonna have to go through some of those rules in our chat, so stay with me. I'm suffering as much as you are. Kenjaku has to follow the rules like everyone else because he's not the game master. The Culling games don't end until everyone dies or everyone refuses to play and dies. This means just killing Kenjaku won't end the Culling games. Another rule is that the players can make their own rules. They get enough points. Chozo and the Snow Bunny will stay behind because if Kenjaku pulls up and Chozo beats him, then his siblings will be freed, and Tengen's silent riz worked too well. Tengen passes over this seal. Damn, how did they trap Gojo in a seal? I'm sorry. All of this information is turning me into season 2 Chozo. It would be useful to have the inverted spear of heaven or black rope to free Gojo, but he destroyed those previously. Just keep bro sealed up at this point, he deserves it. Miguel and Yuta spent their gap year in Africa looking for more rope, but they had no luck on that end. But there's a Culling Games player from 1,000 years ago called Angel, and she has an ability that can stop people's curse techniques so she can open the prison realm. So the gang will track her down. And why are there so many people that are 1,000 years old in the series? That's not normal. Let's take a break from this information dump for a second. I just want to bring your attention to the fact that all the special grade sorcery sorceress started adopting random kids coincidentally. Meanwhile, Yuta's just been on a world tour looking for his next potential kindergartner girlfriend. For real though, it's criminal how the actual predators, Mei and Naoya, got away with the slander. I wouldn't be surprised if they are the ones who started this whole movement against Yuta. Once a player uses their curse technique, they need to pledge in a colony within about 10 days. And if they don't, then they lose their curse technique. This baddie starts talking about something, but she made me lose focus. Someone name dropped Panda as well, which means another member from the OG cast will make a return. It's nice to see because so much has changed since season 2, it's crazy. After reading these rules, it's pretty obvious that Itadori's gotta kill more people, but Megumi's got some plan apparently to prevent that. You gotta respect Megumi for snapping Itadori out of his 1000-year stare again. Bro's truly broken. Only the smiling friends could fix him. At this rate, Maki's going back to the Zen'in house to get the curse tools, and Megumi's now the head of the Zen'in clan. Genuinely don't understand how he is the head. Just one episode ago it was Naoya, unless I misheard what the gnome was saying. Yuta's gonna participate straight away, so he has an awkward interaction with Itadori and Megumi where they are just gonna have to deal with the fact that if Sukuna appears in that time, then everyone's cooked, and Yuta's gonna have to slime Sukuna after he cooks Megumi. This Megumi guy is always looking for an excuse to take his own life, I swear. Would make a fire terrorist. Itadori and Megumi will recruit Hakari, the suspended third year. Yuta says that when Hakari locks in, he's stronger than him, but let's be honest, Yuta's just being modest. Don't let it get to your head, Hakari glazes. Hakari is goated for reasons I won't disclose. Don't worry viewers, I'm not like other Jujutsu Kaisen fans. I won't spoil you as long as you subscribe. But yeah, if Hakari's introduction doesn't include Brazilian funk, Capcom edits, and the Hunter x Hunter narrator, then we are increasing the Mappa employees' work hours even further. I gotta say it one more time, Chozo is the GOAT. Itadori saying thanks and leaving, and then Chozo saying don't die, and then he cries is so heartwarming. He's such a genuine guy. The POV then changes to a new guy called Takaba, who's trying to make it as a comedian at the age of 35, and he's getting chewed out by some guy who probably peaked in high school because he's trash low-key. Then some NPC randomly chimes in and starts getting all philosophical about what it means to be a comedian. Some comedians are always funny. Some comedians gaslight themselves into believing they are funny, and the NPC asks Takaba which is he. Takaba leans towards being a mix of 70-30. But it's time to get back into the real action. Maki pulls up to the Zenin house and unfortunately has to talk to Naoya. He goes for the usual and factually calls her ugly, but Maki is surprised because he thought he only looked at cheeks. I'm not gonna lie though, Naoya absolutely cooked her. He starts listing how she's chopped, has no host, has no money, has no cursed energy, and how he's gonna bully her like in their childhood. And we get a little flashback to Maki peer pressuring Megumi into becoming head because he has a domain, potential, and lots of other stuff. And now we're back to the present. Maki's mother is shouting at her to stop misbehaving, and while this is happening, the higher-ups figured out that they can just execute Maki, Megumi, and Mai because they are trying to unseal Gojo anyways, which is illegal. Maki enters a room and finds out her daddy hid their weapons, and he's beating on her little sister. So Maki tries to box her old man for the vibes, but he straight up ends her with cursed energy flowing from his sword. I saw that coming anyways. She was using Zabimaru after all. Her dad starts crying because he wasn't head of the clan, and it's all because of Maki and Mai's fault, because they were born with all these skill issues. Then he breaks down how Maki is dumb as hell, which is fair. He broke her dad's blade and closed in, but her dad's not a swordsman. He's a sorcerer, so she messed up. Now their dad's dragging them into a back room that has a lot of grade 2 spirits that are gonna jump the sisters. He starts cooking Maki even more verbally, and I feel bad for her because everything these chuds have said in this episode is just true. She's a bum right now. No one cares if she's somewhat physically gifted because sorcerers train their bodies anyway, so they already have that over her and then some. Mai's caressing her sister and she almost kisses her sister, and now Maki's laying on a beach that Mai created with her ability that I forgot about. Mai explains that in the world of Jujutsu sorcerers, being a twin is a crazy skill issue because your potential is half to a non-twin sorcerer, and in order to unlock the full package, someone has to sacrifice themselves. In order to gain strength, something must be lost. Thank you for your sacrifice, Mai. Now we get to watch Maki move like Prime King Von and slime the whole clan. After Maki uses up the last of her emotion to grieve over Mai in a pool of blood, she carries out Mai's wishes and starts off the mass murder of the Fraud clan by going after her dad. He senses she off-screen cursed spirits and gets PTSD because she's giving off Toji's energy, and then Maki does the iconic pose. I think the anime did a good job here. I know some of you guys wanted the scene to look like this, but this is an anime. Not everything can be a one-to-one copy of a different medium. That doesn't make sense, and if it is a one-to-one copy, then in most cases, that's just lazy, and the anime probably sucks, like Record of Ragnarok. We have have enough PowerPoints pretending to be animes as is. Let's not add another to the mix. Ove does an ultimate technique which slashes some pillars, and then Maki chops off her dad's head like nothing and walks off. That was a clean incision. Kenjaku would be proud. The bells have been wrong, so Maki gets to fight all the goons now. He's literally moving like Madara. It's insane. And why is this goon stepping up like he was about to do something? I'm dying. He's gotta be the second bravest soldier after the guy who first ran up to Madara. It's crazy how Itadori's struggling over the fact he killed someone, and then there's Maki who's currently doing trick shots on these poor soldiers. Maki definitely ate one of Koji's cursed dreads because this is just diabolical. They've got upbeat music playing whilst Maki is ice skating on people's blood and giving them 1-inch punches. It's kind of like she's playing Fruit Ninja at the moment with how she's just testing out different combos. My favorite one is when she roundhouse kicks this guy and then his face explodes. This is what everyone swore a gorilla would do to 100 humans in 2025. The commander of the goons arrives to all his men being dead, and then some cursed thing activates and a giant hand goes into the sky with Maki and all the blood, and then it flattens Maki. A Zenin clan member did this with their ability, of course, but let me make this clear. The Zenin clan is a clan for bums. They'd be flipping burgers if it wasn't for the two failures, one potential man and one misogynist. Yeah, I know the Gojo clan only has Gojo and the Kamo clan has something for sure, but there's an agenda here that we must maintain. The Hei are here and they are the Zenin clan's strongest sorcerers. Everything else happened so quickly. Maki survived getting her cheeks clapped and went straight for this guy. Then they slashed swords until Maki broke his stuff. Then Maki literally snatched this old guy's heart like Killua did back in the day. And now Ranta activates his Sharingan, so Maki's on the run. But now she can barely move, but she's slowly breaking through Ranta's genjutsu. So you would think Jinichi would body the crap out of Maki right there and then. But no, he wanted to aura form instead. Jinichi, what are you doing? Hold up, nephew. This win got me feeling magnificent. This is genuinely the reason both of them died. That move Jinichi pulled did look insanely impressive, but it's too late now, buddy. Maki turned the bro into a makeshift basketball. Fact! Jinichi was gonna pull up to Shibuya, but he decided to walk there at 1.2 miles per hour instead of getting the train in order to preserve his aura. Maki chucks Mr. One for All into the river, and then Naoya asks her if she has a heart, but Maki aura forms correctly and says Mai took it with her. You get a flashback to the day Naoya became a Toji glazer. He was trying to find him because a little birdie told him there's a jobless bum in the clan. But when he saw Toji, all he saw was an aura-forming Lux Maxer who was tired of being so strong and hated all the weaklings around him. Little did he know, Toji was just tired and needed to go to the toilet. I just know Naoya's social media accounts all have that one Toji profile picture that everyone's spamming. Mappa knew how to make Toji look somehow even more miserable because the workers are just projecting. Can you even blame them? These animators probably didn't see their families for days just to animate Toji's veiny foot. Have you guys heard that Naoya Zenin rap? You know, the one where he's all like, I don't like men, I don't like women. A weak woman, that's the type I don't like. A big woman, that's the type I don't like. I just wanted to say that, to be honest. Do you think that Naoya's trying to come out of the closet? The voice actor himself did say it's his theme song. Anyways, I'm rambling. Maki and Naoya go hit for hit, and he's trying to deny that she resembles his idol now. He says only someone like Gojo could understand Naoya's pain, which is fair, but this one really thinks he can reach their level? Doesn't even have an original curse technique. Naobito should have copyright protected this. Naoya kicks Maki and spam hits on her in midair. While Naoya is smashing her through the Grand Canyon, Maki is counting something. The Hunter x Hunter narrator chimes in to point out that the longer Naoya keeps his technique activated, the faster he gets, or something like that. Maki's gonna stay in one place and give Naoya some sugar. Naoya turns into Sonic and travels across the world, blasts straight through her. This is what people mean when they say unstoppable force versus immovable object. Thanks to Maki figuring out Naoya's technique, I finally understand what bro does, and it only took me 3 episodes. Naoya can create up to 24 motions per second, and that's why Maki was doing all that counting, but she's adapted now, and instead of hugging Naoya, she straight up counters him into the ground. There was no need to show 5 different angles for this murder. We even got a close-up of bro's skull getting caved in. You can just tell the animators despised bro. This moment was so peak, I made it my wallpaper. Maki is now casually calling out her mother as if they are playing hide and seek, and now that she's found her, Maki asks why he was invited to the house, but her mom was too much of a coward to admit it. Was to get her daughter slimed, so she gets killed off as well. Luckily for us, Naoya's still alive, so that means we get to watch him crawl crawl on all fours, and most importantly, you get to see him die again. The fact that Maki's mother finished him off means nothing to me. He's still a failure as a parent. Before we stop talking about Naoya, we gotta address how he did 0 damage to Maki. Bro's got bigger pillow hands than Heini. Nobody cares if you can do 24 hits per second if all you're doing is tickling your opponent. It was practically healing her at that point. Imagine how much stronger he'd be if he just used a weapon. It's just crazy that Maki turned this family portrait from this to this. He really pulled off an Itachi perfectly. The Zen'in clan no longer exists. She said she'd destroyed the Zen'in clan ages ago to Yuta, and she stood on business. Maki ends off the episode by passing Mai's corpse over to Broom Girl and walking off like a goat. We get to see a backstory of Panda, I think, but it honestly confused me because I have dementia, so we're gonna skip forward a bit. Sunglasses' uncle is getting confronted in the streets, and then Gramps started shredding it on the guitar in this tunnel. The reason Unk is getting jumped is because he has information that people want, and he reveals it to Gramps now that he got messed up as a way of cursing him. Unk's ability allows him to imbue inanimate dolls with cursed energy to create sentient or command-driven puppets. In the wrong hands, that's diabolical. But Bro's no longer with us now. Panda runs past Gramps and grieves over Unk because pandas don't move like that. But even pandas cry. That part was insanely depressing. Almost as depressing as Crunchyroll releasing a dumbed down video called Culling Games in 3 minutes. Because us Jujutsu Kaisen fans can't read. Hakari's been busy making serious dough because of his fight club ever since he got kicked out of school for beefing with the upperclassmen. So Megumi and Itadori need to get him to join their side because he's allegedly stronger than Yuta. After they put on their Naruto and Sasuke cosplay, Megumi gets Itadori a fight against the Undertaker. So after Itadori listens to the rules, like don't talk about Fight Club, he learns that if he fights well enough, he can talk to Hakari. Okay, it's time to go one-on-one with Itadori's fighting Panda. Hakari's chilling with his goth girlfriend and watching the fight, and Panda and Itadori are pretending to fight while they're discussing what they've been up to. Panda chucks Itadori into the air and then suplexes him, and he does that because wrestling isn't real. Then Itadori pays tribute to Naoya by tickling Panda into a pillar and he wins. Hakari is impressed, so he calls up Itadori so he can help us write some YouTube scripts. Bro hasn't felt this excited since his ex maxed his credit card. What does that even mean? Why would that get you all excited for? He might be a cook. Panda's talking to Megumi now and explaining his findings. Hakari's girlfriend is called Kirara, and she was also a Jujutsu Kaisen. Panda knows where Hakari's hideout is, but he can't close the gap because of Kirara's ability. So that's kind of like Gojo's Infinity. Kirara takes Itadori to the hideout so Hakari can swindle him. Itadori's told he could earn 1 million yen a month by doing 1 hour of work, and all he needs to do is give Hakari 200k yen. Itadori obviously says no because it's a scam, but Hakari explains that this really works because the swindler and the swindled have that passion to make their lives better. And that's really true. Buy my YouTube course and I'll teach you how to get 100 views. As we know, nothing screams passion more than gambling. You could even say the purpose of life is to gamble. People's quality of life doesn't improve because they are not willing to take the gamble. And sometimes it gets worse because they don't even know when to fold. You can just tell from the way Hikari's gushing over gambling that he bet on all of those UCL games the other night. But his love for the game did result in lots of girlfriends dumping him. If you really think about it, everyone gambles. They're just afraid of losing. So take a gamble on me and subscribe. Itadori tries to bring up a point about some people wanting to live a peaceful life, but that sounds like woke nonsense. Hikari's true goal is to control this nation's passion through his fight clubs. And now is the perfect opportunity after all the chaos caused by the Shibuya incident. After Hikari asks Itadori if he wants to join, a call goes off and it keeps ringing. Hikari goes to grab a drink and get Itadori something non-alcoholic. When I was watching this scene, it was really intense and made me feel uneasy because of the camera angle and the phone just kept ringing. I've said it before, but the cinematography in this season is amazing. Hikari is just asking Itadori general questions like why doesn't he drink, and then he casually says Gojo can't handle drinking. This is when Itadori remembers that he's low-key on the spectrum and pretends he doesn't know Gojo, which is just diabolical because every sorcerer knows him. Hikari slowly drinks, then throws his glass straight at Itadori, who's trying to avoid it. Then Hikari just starts jumping him and mixing in something from his ability. It looks like he's punishing his son or something. Whenever Hikari's phone rings, it means his girlfriend has confirmed something's up. So this whole dispute with everyone should get resolved next episode. Some guy is complaining about how long Hikari and and his femboy are cracking each other because he wants to go home, so luckily for him, Megumi attempts to aura form by awkwardly standing behind him like that one SpongeBob picture, and then Megumi puts bro out of his misery. While Megumi is bodying the goon, Panda's playing with attire. The goons know he's a WWE wrestler, so it's fine. They even give him a free glizzy in the house, so Panda thanks them by bodying them as well. This guy is so adorable, no homo. He walks up the emergency stairs because there's no security cameras and meets up with Potential Man. They coincidentally bump into Kirara. This is where she realizes Panda is a rat and speed dials Hakari. The POV then goes back to that time when Hakari encountered the only sorcerer who doesn't know who Gojo is, and currently Megumi and Panda are jumping a femboy. Potential Man unleashes his big dogs on Kirara, but she repels them with her ability that we still don't understand, and we won't by the end of this video either. Listen, I'll try my best to explain her ability as the fight plays out, but I'm not gonna get too performative about it. She already marked Panda with a tramp stamp, so he's not able to close the distance between them, and she's not gonna reason with these guys until they slime her realistically. Megumi sends big dogs in front of Kirara, so now she can't move back or forth at the moment because she has a phobia of dogs. Now that she's paralyzed, Megumi explains that they need her help with the Culling games because Gojo got sealed, and her face says it all. She doesn't believe the strongest sorcerer of today got slimed. Megumi's ran out of ideas, so he starts doing party tricks. You know you've gotten backed into a wall when you have to rely on the rabbit that survived a 1v1 with the Toji Fushiguro. When the fodder rabbits disintegrate, Megumi clocks that they have tramp stamps on them as well. I just know these mappa animators probably didn't see their families for days just to animate Megumi's abs. They might be gooners. First they craft Toji's veiny foot in the lab, and now they do this. The proof's all around us. Megumi noticed the words on the tattoos are constellations, so he guesses out loud that Kirara's ability has to do with the Southern Cross, and she instantly gives it away because she has no poker face. If Megumi potentially figures out more of her ability, then he could break into Hakari's goon cave. The Southern Cross is a 4-star constellation, and Megumi confirms this with Panda. Panda says it's in the name. It's a cross, so of course it is. That's like asking someone if they should eat food if they are hungry. I just needed to include this part in the video because it's important to maintain the agenda. And I can't lie, listening to Megumi and Panda Senpai discuss their theories on what Kirara's ability actually is was genuinely too smart for me. If someone can explain her ability to me in the comments, then I'll write a poem for you. Mappa! Make a Kirara's ability in 3 minutes video. My life is yours! Panda thinks Kirara's ability works like rock, paper, scissors, so she's the star in all situations, and she can mark 4 points, like Panda and Megumi for example, and those 4 points have different strengths and weaknesses, which is why Megumi and Panda can stand next to each other, but they can't stand next to Kirara. It's also why only Megumi's dogs and rabbits would get thrown back at him. It's not looking good for Kirara. If Panda and Megumi fulfill one more condition, then they've won. Megumi's theory is that Kirara's ability is like a stamp rally. If all the 4 points of the cross are in the correct order, then they should be able to pass Kirara. Panda tries to force a 6-7 joke by saying, what if there's 6 or 7 stars? And this just had to be intentional. Kirara needs to lock in, so she chucks a car towards the duo. Now Megumi's getting PTSD from his playdate with Daddy Fushiguro. It's at times like these where I'm enjoying what I'm seeing, but I'm low-key wondering what is going on. I think to myself how similar Jujutsu Kaisen feels to Hunter x Hunter. I know people compare it to Naruto or even Bleach, and I don't blame them, especially after Megumi and Itadori were cosplaying Naruto and Sasuke last episode. But Gege clearly gets the same enjoyment Togashi has for creating a complex ability and using it to cook a goated fight. While Megumi is looking for the star, Panda forgets to use his brain and throws the car away, which makes it fly back into him. Kirara can only do this repelling stuff to things she's tagged with cursed energy. When she tagged Megumi's dogs, that allowed her to mock Megumi himself. Panda is currently soaring through the sky, and this would be a fire album cover. While he's in his own world, Megumi is racing towards this headlight because it's an object that doesn't have any traces of cursed energy on it at the moment. He glazes Megumi because he's cooking, so he thanks her by throwing Toji's owner into the sky, and then Panda passes John Rabbit downtown so he can pull off a one-armed handstand. That was so tough. It takes humans years to master that move, but he pulled it off in seconds. seconds. No wonder it's so strong after Megumi infused it with all his potential, man. John Rabbit's performance distracted Kirara enough for the formation to change, so she panics and throws the car at Megumi again. But Megumi was waiting for her to blunder again, so he could throw his dogs at her, and it worked this time. I'm just saying, if John Kaisen was here, then he'd have been in Hakari's goon cave before the opening started playing in this episode. Have you seen his highlight reel? This is a true legend. We can even go deeper into the rabbit hole. You can hate on me all you want, but I honestly think Maki would be dead by now if John Zenin was present during the massacre. Luckily for her, he was out grocery shopping. It's crazy how the animation's still cooking in one of the more tame episodes. Megumi goes for cover in the cursed mobile and he genuinely catches Kirara. That's an impressive victory. What have you Megumi haters got to say about him now? I've been backing bro since before I was even born. I totally wasn't speaking negatively about him a couple minutes ago. Damn, this burning car animation is fire. Megumi starts getting all performative and starts begging for her to hear him out. Like, bro, you beat her. Just force her to join you. This isn't gonna stop the haters from calling you a top 3 Jujutsu Kaisen fraud. The boyfriends decide to take this fight outside and warn their girlfriends to stay out of it. Hakari's currently aura farming with his wife beater on, and it's crazy to think he used to look like a solid 5 out of 10 just a while ago. What a glow up. Itadori's in his I have no enemies off, so he plans on tanking all of Hakari's hits and negotiating with him at the same time. And Hakari is willing to hear him out as long as he survives the punches. Before we continue, I just need to let the people know that if you signed the petition to get Hakari's theme changed to that Brazilian funk song, then you are a cornball. Itadori explains that he needs Hakari to join because his seniors said he's strong, but that flattery doesn't change the fact that he's practically asking a stranger to risk his life for him here. Itadori then has another one of his depressive episodes and explains he doesn't have any ambitions, but he's just a cog in a machine and how his role is to kill curses. So Hakari's disappointed about Itadori's answer because that's how losers think. So he finishes him off. Sea Urchin Head tells Panda to grab Itadori and get out of here, but then Itadori uses the anti-Hakari punching technique. I haven't seen that since the Heian era. While Hakari's shocked by this, Itadori asks him what his function is as a cog in a machine, and Kigurara helps everyone out by pointing out that Hakari's passion is burning right now, so he can't play bad cop anymore and they'll negotiate now. It seems like Megumi's performative maxing worked out. Hakari's passion always burned the hottest when he was helping his fellow Jujutsu sorceress. Now a random creature appears out of thin air to confirm a player has added a new rule to the Culling games. The new rule lets players view certain information about other players, and the one who created this rule was Kashimo. I've heard a lot of things about this guy. He has his fair share of glazes. A little birdie told me he was the strongest in his era 400 years ago. And there's an upcoming fight which involves him, but I'm extremely excited to watch. I mean, the fact that he already Swiss cheesed enough players to create a rule is pretty impressive, and it looks like he wants to beef with Sukuna. Kenjaku turns into an underage girl sleep paralysis monster and apologizes that her hometown is being used as the center of the barrier for the Culling games. He offers her the opportunity to join the Culling games, and if she rejects the offer, then she'll just wake up outside the barrier. At first, I thought he was about to take over her, but surprisingly, he wasn't in freak mode today. Kenjaku says thank you for saving my son, and then gets replaced with other pedestrians. At first I couldn't tell you what he meant by that, but then my dumbass realized that he was talking about Itadori. Itadori is Kenjaku's son. I can't read. The girl talks to a guy she knows as they stare at the barrier, and it turns out they all have similar dreams. But then the girl brings up Itadori for some reason. The weekly fever dream portion of the episode is over, so Hakari's just as dumbfounded as Kirara was when she found out Gojo got sealed. Panda then confirms the principal died after he cursed the higher-ups, and naturally Hakari is bummed by this news. He hasn't been this sad since he saw Yakul get shot in the cheeks with an arrow. Apologies, my voice sounds a bit crazy in this video. I'm super ill, but I'm so dedicated that I'm gonna power through. I guess Hakari can't relate to the rest of us in the real world who had the misfortune of witnessing Clavicular get brain mugged by the ASU frat leader. Hakari will help them stop the Culling games, and in exchange, they'll help him get some changes to the Jujutsu regulations. And this this sea agent head really has the audacity to call potential man a sea agent head, but Megumi is not a sea agent head anymore. It's Fushiguro now. And on a serious note, he's the head of the Zenin clan, so Hakari's request is light work for him. It's so funny how Hakari is glazing Megumi now, but he doesn't realize Megumi is genuinely still a bum because Maki pulled an Itachi this afternoon. So being a Zenin means nothing. So the gang's elaborate plan kind of went over my head again, but I'll explain it to the best of my ability. The show just makes me feel so dumb sometimes. But then I remember it's okay because Hakari and Itadori exist. They're gonna track Kashimo and peer pressure him into making a rule so players can exchange points with each other, and they're also gonna create another rule so that players can use points to leave the game. They also need to locate Angel at the same time. She's probably in the game under a different name like Itadori's situation, but it's okay because apparently they'll know Angel when they see her. Hakari and Panda will go to Colony 1 so Panda can hunt Angel and Hakari can have the best fight of the season against Kashimo. And Itadori and Megumi will go to Colony 2 and Kurara is getting benched because she lost to a fraud. Yuta hasn't called anyone yet, so there's probably no signal inside the barriers. After Itadori and his girlfriend have a lover spat over how Itadori is so overprotective, they make up because it's Valentine's Day and now everyone's aura forming as they enter the barriers. Denji from Chainsaw Man is getting verbally abused by an older woman who has a core engine for her on a walkie-talkie because he hasn't found anyone to stream snipe yet, and Itadori is pretending what Megumi is saying is important and that he agrees, but Megumi should explain to us again, be using that sentence from now on for the rest of the season. Basically, Itadori should be wary of those sorcerers that are over a couple hundred years old, should be on a retirement homes already, because they're playing football with their lives on the line, so it's going to be hard to negotiate. I've got to admit that Kogane is pretty cute, but he has nothing on Panda-san, as we all know. After all, Kogane could never fulfill the parkour prophecy like our goat Panda. Oh, wait a minute, why is that disgusting vermin asking Megumi if he wants a breakdown of the rules? No, don't do it, you're gonna turn my video into a 60-minute documentary again. Speaking of again, you can get an almost accurate breakdown of the Culling game's rules if you watch my previous Jujutsu Kaisen video. Okay, enough plugging. After Itadori and Megumi thank the bus driver, Megumi lands in risky reels and Itadori goes tilted towers because he wants the smoke. And this is where the spawn campers come into play. The lady with the built-in RS3 engine smashes Itadori through a couple buildings, but this is an average Tuesday for him, so he just chucks something at her and boom, she's eliminated. I can sense that Itadori is going to drop a 20 bomb. The duo witnesses Itadori teabagging her, and we'll get to that, but for some reason Denji knows who Itadori is as well. I have a good idea of what's going on here, but I'll save that for later in the video. Megumi won another fight and surprise, surprise, it's another woman. This guy is still a fraud. He's just been stat padding against pole dancers. It's crazy how desperate Valentine's Day has people, to the point where you're willing to dress yourself up and run into a battle royale so that you can flirt with some glorified serial killers. While Megumi is getting the whereabouts of Higurama, Itadori does some parkour and then chucks this guy into a room so they can box. And it turns out that this guy has a propeller head. Another prophecy has been fulfilled. This guy's gender is an attack helicopter. Itadori and the helicopter are going in circles as the fight goes outside again, so he brings the fight indoors, but bro keeps spamming his propeller so Itadori punches his head, and that's the end of that. It's gonna take more than a propeller to break Itadori's hand, so he just ends the fight by kneeing the attack helicopter's family jewels. The lady's still trying to seduce potential man, but he just replies, sure, fine. And now that's her night. This nonchalant act is getting out of hand. As Itadori is asking the helicopter about Higurama's whereabouts while jiggling his balls, Denji introduces himself. Denji knows Itadori because they are from the same area, and Itadori's always been a big deal. That girl at the start of the episode also knew Itadori, so I'm guessing the barrier took over Itadori's home area. Denji was the helicopter parent's gopher, so Itadori inadvertently helped him, so he'll tell Itadori where Higurama is. Same time this is happening, Megumi threatens to kill the lady if she lies, so Denji and her both give their answers and said Higurama's in 2 different locations. I think the imposter is Denji, because if it was the girl then that would be too obvious. It's time for the moment we've all been waiting for, Higurama's introduction. After a brief moment where he's chilling in a bathtub, we get his backstory so we can understand why he's behaving like a crackhead. He's talking to someone in prison who we'll call Joey, and Joey's here because he ran away from cops, because if they catch him then his cat's cooked because his apartment doesn't allow pets. This was a bad coincidence because a family got murdered recently, so now he's a prime suspect. And when the cops raided Joey's house, they found a knife in his bin with the family's DNA. The only good thing about that raid was that the cat cleared the stealth mission. Joey continues to deny he was in the files, and he only picked up the knife because he was gonna turn it in later. So Higurama's looking into Joey's situation and sees he works in a retirement home, and they have some sketchy rules like you can't call cop calls or ambulances because they'll disrupt neighbors. So Higurama will dig deep into this matter, and his assistant Shinmu Shimizu can take care of the root cause of all these problems. As you can imagine, this type of work is low paid despite how much work it takes, so you gotta do this for the love of the game. In the past, Higurama took a case for someone who got coerced into drink driving by his co-workers, and unfortunately he couldn't get off free, but he did get him a smaller sentence. That didn't stop the guy from crashing out at Higurama, who did his best. But when you're at your lowest, that happens, so he gets it. But even Higurama has his limits. There's only so much abuse he can take. Just look at bro's eyes. I don't think I've ever seen him blink. He's one more failed trial away from turning into the next Jayoma. Joey was found guilty after the first trial, but didn't really mean much yet because they'll reappeal for a second trial. There was CCTV evidence that found Joey in a store at the time of the crime, which helped in this case. Joey's mainly thanking Higurama for believing in him, but will Joey keep the same energy when he gets a life sentence in the second trial? The justice system is very unfair. The opposition literally won the judge over by just a maxim. They didn't even provide any further evidence with the huge budget they have. Not gonna lie, this episode is making me want to quit everything and pursue a career in being a lawyer. I'd be a household name like Saul Goodman. It's gonna happen. Most fair trials don't ever have a different conclusion, let alone even get to this stage, so bro was cooked from the get-go. Why is this eye straight from JoJo's glaring at me? Oh, it's Joey. Kinda looks like Connie now that I think about it. I think him staring at big Higurama right here may have been his 13th reason why. And bro was having none of it, so he starts throwing a tantrum by whacking his hammer all willy-nilly non-stop. And then this summons speed for the retrial. Higurama has to be the first person ever to get so fed up to the point where he just creates a domain expansion without any prior cursed energy training. I wonder if Speed is a fan of Higurama because these two emotes are uncanny. Bear in mind, all everyone else saw was a normal ass guy smacking around a hammer because they can't see cursed energy. Anyways, I was wrong. The girl's bringing potential man to a weird Uncle John Bird Kaisen, and now we get another mini flashback where pre-time skip Mario's getting beat on by some high school kids. And Denji's watching all of this thinking how stupid he is for not matching these bozos' energy because all they have going for them is pride, so you just need to blend in. The level 1 NPC spot Itadori and try to beef with him for not showing Ohio respect, but little did they know that Yuji is a Grandmaster rank, being in bronze lobby, so he bodies them. Aside from Satoru Gojo, of course, I think the Jujutsu Kaisen fans have successfully lobotomized me. One of the goons grabs a metal rod, but then Itadori grabs his face and smashes him into the ground, and roundhouse kicks the other grunt. Now we're back to the present where Itadori pulls up to the cinemas to stare at bro bathing in his suit under a spotlight like a total psycho. After Megumi realizes he got lied to, his Toji cells kicked in and he almost flatlines her right there and then. Ever since he's become the Zen'in clan leader, all he's done is abuse women. The will of Naoya truly lives within Megumi. You can take the boy from the clan but not the clan from the boy. He spams his pet dog again to fight Uncle Reggie, and I'm seeing a lot of you Megumi fans acting like he's popping off soon, but in reality he's beefing against a K-Mot receipt checker. John Bird Kaisen has a plan. He wants to cooperate with Megumi because he's not an easy kill, and John Bird Kaisen has a relationship with Kenjaku somehow. He believes the rule stopping people's cursed energy is a bluff because of a lot of stuff that went over my head. Stuff that didn't go over my head is that there's 100 players split into 10 colonies, but most of them are fodder, and there's some exceptions like Kashimo or Higurama in every colony who will weed out all the weaklings, and that Sukuna watching Itadori search Jennifer Lawrence for 100th time of the day is the reason he chose Megumi, and the rest of the explanation insists upon itself. When only the strong remain, Kenjaku will reveal the real purpose for the Culling games. He then goes into a purple room and speaks in subtitles to the owner of McDonald's, and then a white circle goes on to say, what does that mean? We'll find out in the next episode. Now back to whatever this is. Higurama's asking a bunch of questions like, have you ever done what he's doing right now, or have you heard Jujutsu Kaisen is getting transferred from MAPPA to JC staff? If that's true, then kitten, I'll be honest, daddy's gonna off himself. Higurama's basically having a midlife crisis, so he's doing a lot of things that have stopped mattering to him to see if he's enjoying them still. Not that you care, but he does enjoy bathing in clothes because it reminds him of his childhood. Now Higurama's acting like the average solicitor I came across at work and saying that having a conversation with him will incur a fee of 5k per every 30 minutes. I've seen someone charge an old lady 9 bands to fill out a questionnaire like, bro, just search up a YouTube tutorial on how to do it. What's wrong with you? Being a solicitor seems like a great job prospect right now. Higurama was just joking, bro. Itadori tells Higurama he wants to stop the Culling games, and then bro's eyes darts towards him like Megumi when he sees the opposite gender and refuses Itadori Itadori's offer. Higurama wants to use the Culling games to its advantage for dishing out justice. He starts spamming questions and asking Itadori if he's killed anyone who's pissed him off before because it feels great, and Itadori's had enough of the rambling. Man, forget this. He's wasting my time. I'll just run the once with him. I'm ready for any of his attacks. Domain expansion. Wah! I've said it before, but Higurama is one of the greatest prodigies when it comes to sorcerers, aside from Satoru Gojo, of course. Itadori tries to finish off Higurama before his domain fully activates, but it's too late. Once the domain is activated, no one can attack each other because they are having a hearing and Speed is the judge. The subject of the trial is discussing whether Itadori is guilty or not of underage gambling at a casino. Crap, it's another complicated ability. I'll break it down for you. I think I understand most of it. Itadori makes a statement and Higurama makes a rebuttal using evidence, and then Speed makes his verdict in accordance with the law. You can even lie as long as you're smart enough with it. Itadori's pretty smart. He says he went to the casino because he needed to take a dump. But the moment Higurama pulled out a piece of evidence which exposed Itadori was at a nearby ATM to probably get some cash to gamble, he instantly folded. I would have done better. You could have just said you transferred some money out for a separate matter. Speed says Itadori is guilty, so Higurama rushes Itadori and his hammer starts growing to make the beating even more brutal. At what point in law school did they teach Higurama to throw hands like that? The crime was never this serious. Higurama's getting glazed by the narrator while the beatings take place. He was considered a prodigy as a lawyer, but that has nothing on his talent as a Jujutsu sorcerer. I mean, who else do you know that gets a cursed technique with a starter pack domain expansion? Within 12 days of studying his technique, he became on par with a first grade sorcerer. Sometimes you just gotta ask yourself what Itadori did to deserve getting whooped on the Yuta by some of the strongest in the verse 3 times within the same week. Why did Higurama think it was a good idea to pop his ult immediately? Hasn't Itadori gone through enough trauma? Higurama's even perfected the technique he learned from Zenin member 253. He must have practiced on all those curses he slimed, not to mention the 20 players he eliminated. Itadori slides under Higurama and then he extends the hammer again, so Itadori starts sprinting across the wall, so Higurama starts spam throwing mini hammers. When Speed confirmed Itadori was guilty, this punishment made him lose control of his cursed energy. The punishment usually affects people's cursed techniques, but Itadori's special, so it switched to this. It seemed like this fight is one-sided, but Higurama's thinking to himself that Itadori must be part Saiyan because this is not the way a normal human being should be moving. Higurama breaks the thing, so Itadori's forced to do more parkour for him, and he's had enough of this, so he dashed the bathtub at Higurama. But then something inside Higurama snapped as well, so he appears out of the water because you don't mess with a man's bathtub. He hits Itadori with the hammer again, but this time it keeps growing to the point where Itadori is slowly getting crushed, so he needs to think fast and he redeems himself. He asks Higurama for a retrial and it works. I would have been cooked here, to be fair. Better play, Itadori. It turns out if you don't plead guilty, you can request up to 2 retrials. Speed calls out Itadori for murder that he committed in Shibuya, and I wonder what intellectual masterclass he's gonna pull off this time to get out of this mess.
ああ、俺が殺した。
Oh, fair enough. Even Higurama's shocked. I didn't know he had the ability to make other facial expressions. Speed's eyes start bleeding and he gives Itadori the death penalty, and this unlocked the executioner blade. If it touches you, then you die. The downfall of Higurama's mentality is the culmination of all the weaklings he's tried to help by fighting the system because of how empathetic he is, and their ungratefulness towards him led him to believe that everyone is disgusting and ugly deep down. But Itadori turning himself in instantly has woken him up. He wants to know why Itadori admitted guilt when the evidence clearly shows Sukune killed all those lives. This causes him to falter at the last minute so Itadori can destroy his ribs. We've all seen several people explain to Itadori the kills are not his fault, so I won't waste your time. They conclude that Itadori is still a weak little chud for letting it happen, so Higurama will reclaim his title of the savior of the chuds and give Itadori the 100 points to transfer points between players. Jujutsu Kaisen might genuinely be the best new gen. Not only does it have action, but its writing is so compelling, and I'm tired of elitist gooners pretending like JJK is nothing but fights. It's not the same as Israel leveling. This conversation between Higurama and Itadori expressing their guilt over the people they murdered is beautiful, and so is that OST, and once again, the cinematography. It turns out Higurama slimed of the judge and the prosecutor at Connie's trial, which is a very understandable crash out, but he's gonna turn himself in once the barrier opens up probably, and he's not gonna join Itadori's gang in the the meantime, he'll think of something else to do because chilling with Itadori would just make him hate himself even more. I'm pretty sure that just made Itadori even more depressed. I feel you, buddy. It's rough not being rated by the most goated character in the verse. Okay then, like, subscribe and comment something so I can pay my rent, and as always, see you all in the next video.